Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hyperconscious Podcast. Alan, what is hyperconscious?
Once you understand why something is the way that it is, now you have the power to change it. Great conversations with great people and great questions are the keys to the kingdom of unlocking your consciousness.
Every single action that you do starts as a thought. When you control the way you think, you will control the way you act, and you will control the way you live. That is hyperconscious. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the Hyperconscious Podcast. Alan and I sat down and recorded another 20 minutes scratching the surface episode on how your thoughts, certain thoughts, can hold you back.
Yes. Limiting beliefs are basically holding us back from even trying. So I have a coach that helped me through this exercise of trying to get into the minds of people who are starting their fitness journey. What are they thinking? What are they seeing? What are they hearing? What are they believing? And then what are they saying to themselves? And so we did an episode on those things that might be holding you back, and it got pretty emotional.
It did get very emotional. Alan had an emotional reading at the end, but I'm super happy and grateful that he was willing to read that for our listeners, and we hope you enjoy this episode.
Talk to you soon.
Bye. No. Geographically. This is cool. So I would say make sure that pretty face is showing.
Yes, true.
They're going to want to see that thing. They're going to want to see that thing, Alan. That face. You good?
Ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the Hyperconscious Podcast. Happy Halloween. It's the night before Halloween.
Yes.
Alan and I are going to do another 20-minute Scratching the Surface episode, and we are going to do it on a very interesting topic. I'll let you explain it.
Yeah, so limiting beliefs. I have a coach that I'm working with right now. He's my marketing coach. And he had us do a specific exercise. I'm going to leave him anonymous because I think that's what he'd want. But he had me do a specific exercise where I tried to dig into the mind of fitness people that I'm trying to help with the new program that I'm coming out with, which we are going down to Florida to record.
For the whole month.
Called Naturally Fit for Life, the 5 fundamental pillars of natural fitness. So keep an eye out for that. But he is trying to help me get into the mind of someone who is struggling with fitness, who wants to change their life. And he basically said to me, Alan, sometimes you're farther along the journey. You forget what it's like to be at the beginning of your journey. And so Kevin and I wanted to use this same exercise. So what he had me do is he said, picture someone who's at the very beginning of their fitness journey and they're scared. They're doubting themselves. They're doubting whether or not they can transform, and do this exercise. What are they saying? What are they seeing in their environment? What are they hearing in their environment? What are they thinking? And then what are they feeling? And he had me come up with 25 on each of them. So Kevin and I just kind of did an exercise prior to this on the same thing where we're trying to figure out what limiting beliefs are holding people back.
Yes, and again, for the listeners that know, a lot of this is very close to home for me, so getting a list of these things is kind of easy for me, for the most part. So a lot of these, for me, are going to be from personal experience because I know what it's like to lack confidence. I know what it's like to lack self-belief. So we'll just get into them. So how do you want to do it? You want to start with what are they saying?
Yeah, so first and foremost, everyone has limiting beliefs.
Absolutely.
And blind spots.
Yep.
And the goal of this podcast, this episode, is to really bring to your consciousness, your awareness, what limiting beliefs might be holding you back. So if any of these spark something in you, that probably means you've felt that way, or you've thought that before, or you've been saying that before. So really keep an eye out for that. And yeah, we can start with what are they saying?
And the only difference between you and the best version of you that you hope to become is the best version has faced these limiting beliefs over and over. And they've proved them wrong over and over.
So then they have more empowering beliefs.
Exactly.
Because
so they've proven that these are not their actual beliefs. They prove that these are the beliefs that they have adopted in order to avoid pain or in order to cope with the things they've gone through.
Yeah.
So we're going to break those down right now. So the first thing we wrote down is, what are they saying? So if you're in a conversation with somebody and they say, oh, I think you should listen to the Hyperconscious podcast. They're going to teach you all about how to rewire your brain, and they're going to teach you confidence. They're going to teach you ways where you can face your fears. The first thing I would have said a year ago is I could never be like that. Like I could never do that. I remember when I sat down with you for one of the first podcasts we did, I said that I felt like you were just a different kind of person.
Yeah, we just listened to that not long ago,
What are the
and
chances?
you did say, I know, right? What are the chances? You did say, you literally on that podcast said, I don't think I've ever met anyone like you.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I think that's another reason why we have limiting beliefs, because in our environment, if there aren't anyone, this is why I think mentors is the most important thing in the world, because just their presence is going to eliminate some of these limiting beliefs we're talking about. Getting around people who are playing this game of life at a much higher level is going to prove to you that they're just humans too, and that you can also do this. And mentors, good mentors, believe in you, and they think they know you can do it too because they've been where you are. And that's kind of what we're trying to do here.
So what are you saying to yourself? Or what are you saying if you're in a conversation with somebody, or if you see something that piques your interest? If you see a commercial for a college that you want to attend, like, what are you saying to your friends, to your family? Like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
I can't because I'm not smart enough.
Yeah.
I can't because I don't have the money. I can't. Sure, there are going to be some circumstantial things that
I'm
may
not
hold
good at
you
math.
back. Right, but what are you creating? What are
Yeah.
the roadblocks that you're actually creating for yourself?
Interesting. So many people say I'm not good at math, and it's like, but have you ever really tried?
Right.
Yeah. That's the other thing. You haven't proven to yourself that you could be good at math. I remember Eric Thomas saying this. He's like, I'm not good at writing. Yeah, because you've never written before.
Makes sense.
You know, and that's interesting. So one of the things that Kevin came up with prior to this episode is I'm too insert adjective.
Yeah.
What's a couple examples?
So I'm too shy. I'm too short. I'm too tall. I'm too ugly. I'm too fat. There's so many.
There's so many.
There's
yeah.
so many. I think that a lot of people hold themselves back when they say, like, I'm too shy.
Yeah.
The reason you're shy is because, number one, you don't have confidence in yourself yet. And number two, maybe you haven't found a reason. I used to say I was shy.
Really?
Yeah. And now I just air my stuff out in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Because my purpose is greater. This is, again, I always say this shit's bigger than me. It's not about me anymore. It's
You've
about,
also put in enough reps.
Yeah.
And you were shy in the first episode.
Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
And just for all the listeners right now, I was fortunate enough to coach Jarek Robbins on fitness earlier today, and I was scared. You know, this is he's a high performance coach. You know, obviously he is the son of one of the greatest coaches to ever live, and I was scared shitless all day. So people out there who think I'm this super outgoing, polished product of like perfection, it's so far from the truth. I'm not. I'm really not. I get scared too. It's just, at what level do you get scared? And how, you know, we said this at the event. So remember when you and I did the testimonial after Brendan Burchard's event? Yes. Someone came up to me and said, "Oh my God, you killed that! Like you didn't seem nervous at all." I was nervous. I just think I'm used to being nervous. So
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes you get used to what you do.
Yeah,
you get used to what you do, and if you're making excuses for why you're not enough, you're gonna get really fucking good at it.
Yeah, you're gonna get really good at saying I'm too shy.
Yeah,
rather than stepping up.
Or for instance, for me, like, go talk to that girl. I'm too short. She would never want a dude like me. What is the biggest thing I'm avoiding? I'm avoiding feedback. I'm avoiding rejection. Where maybe that's not even what would happen.
Right?
You know, it's like
You'll
that's
never
the
know.
thing.
Yeah.
You'll never know.
I heard a quote recently. Shout out to Lewis Howes. He put this on his Twitter, and I never heard this before. This blew my mind. So simple. Making mistakes is proof that you're trying.
Yes, I saw that.
All of these limiting beliefs are holding you back from trying.
Yeah.
And if you don't try, you're never going to prove to yourself that they're not true. Right?
It's a weird thing.
It's like the horse that was a little horse when it was younger in the 2-foot tall fence that could easily, now it's an adult horse, it could jump out. It just doesn't know it can. So we're all that horse. We could go and be free and chase our dreams, but we don't know we can because we're not trying. We're giving ourselves reasons not to try.
Yeah.
What's another one you got?
So it kind of goes, we said it, I don't have the resource. So I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the motivation.
Yes. Oh, I hear that one all the time.
There's a lot. It's hard. Like everything that you're going to do in your life is hard.
Basically, yeah.
So why don't you pick the stuff that you actually want to do? And then that way you'll be fulfilled and you'll be more likely to do it.
I don't have the time.
Yeah.
Is a big one. We always talk about this. Like, it's because whatever it is isn't important to you. We all make time for the things that are most important. And we all have 24 hours in a day, right? Oprah Winfrey has 24 hours. And it's what are you doing with that time? And if you keep telling yourself you don't have the time to go to the gym, what are the chances you're going to make the time to go to the gym?
Well, also this, we've talked about this in a previous episode, but if I said to you, how much money do you have in the bank? You'd be able to check that. Oh, okay, let me go on my app and check. I said, how long did you spend on social media today? And you just said, well, I don't know, I check it every so often. Every so often adds up.
Yes.
That adds up. What, if I told you to break down your day, hour by hour, what did you do for this hour? What did you do for that hour? Hours tend to disappear.
Yeah.
They're not disappearing. You just haven't prioritized what you're doing, so you don't know what you're doing during those hours.
And
I'm just as guilty as anybody else. So
totally. You and I had our phones out last time we hung out, and we were shocked at how much time we spent on our phones.
Yeah.
And that new thing on our iPhones, what is that called?
I don't even know.
It basically tracks how much time you spend on each app. That was eye-opening.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
It's crazy.
So when you say you don't have the time, it's like, well, okay, where are you spending your time? Are you playing Angry Birds for 3 hours?
Right.
And if you are, that's fine. Just bring some awareness to where you're spending your time and on what. And we did an episode with Terrence on time, so we won't go too deep into that. But I think that's a super important point.
All right, so what are you seeing
in your environment?
Yeah, what are you seeing in your environment? So one of the things I wrote down, and this is near and dear to me, is massive confidence in others. So if you're super self-conscious, if you're lacking confidence, you're automatically going to assume that everybody else is more confident than you. Alan had a breakthrough.
Yeah, so when you and I first started working together on the first episode, you thought I was the most confident thing to walk the earth.
Yep.
You don't feel that way anymore. Why?
Because I know you cry yourself to sleep often. No,
I think it's because your set point is higher.
Right, I've leveled up.
Yeah,
and
I've been humbled.
You've been humbled.
Yeah, but I don't think that I'm any less confident per se. I think your perception of what confident is now different.
Well, I also think it's because I've kind of proven to myself, like I've had doubts before the Lori Harder podcast. I wanted to jump out the window. I was ready to jump out the window.
Yeah, Lori, if you're listening, he was literally going to open the window and jump out. You're freaking out.
But I proved to myself that, okay, that was that.
Yeah.
We did that. Everything went fine. Everything's fine. You can do it again.
Yeah, that was a great rep.
It was a great rep.
Yeah, and Lori, fortunately for us, carried that whole thing.
Yes, we appreciate you, Lori.
Yeah, we do.
So we also wrote down happier people.
Yeah, everyone's happier than me.
Everybody seems happier than I am.
This is what you're seeing, yeah.
So why do you think that is? Why does everybody seem happier?
I think two reasons. Number one, if you're really in an unhappy, unfulfilled place, your set point for what everyone else is going to appear happier to you, just contrast-wise.
Yeah.
The other thing is most people are putting on a show. So you're not seeing them. Here's a fucking great example. So I think I talked a little bit on the podcast about how I drink at a wedding, and then I went to Turtle Tavern.
Turtle Tavern.
Turtle Tavern for a 30th birthday, and I drank there too. And I had this one really surreal moment later in the night. It's like 1:30 a.m., and I looked across the bar, and everyone seemed, it might as well have been out of a movie. Everyone was hugging and high-fiving and cheersing, and everyone seemed so incredibly happy to me. And I had this moment of like, interesting. This is like a scene out of a movie. And then I went, oh, this is the best part of their week. This is what they wait for, a lot of them. And that's fine. But the thing is that's the time when they're the most happy. Be careful of when you're gauging people's happiness. Like you said, you used to use humor as a reason to not only be happier, but also to maybe not talk about the deeper shit. If you're seeing someone like you who really wasn't happy and was kind of trying to pretend to be, and that's the only place I saw you, and I know I'm not happy, and you know you're not happy. We're both putting on a show.
Right.
Now you're going to think you're less happy than everyone else, which makes you more unhappy. It's crazy.
It's strange how this stuff is set up.
Right.
It's really, It's really strange. What else did you write for that?
The social media stuff.
Ah, yeah.
So on social media, you're seeing the polished products all the time. These are people that spent years. A quote that I always go back to, Tony Robbins, he says, you have to remember that people are rewarded in public for things they've practiced for years in private, sometimes decades. Like on social media, especially the pages that are bigger, these are very polished products. And by the way, there's filters and there's angles. I saw one dude today who I swear he looked as tall as Yao Ming on his Instagram, but he's, I think, 5'3". It's just not. And here's the thing. When you meet these people in person, you realize that they are just people too. And there's nothing wrong with that. So just remember that Instagram is not real life. How many couples have you seen that look unbelievably confident and happy that you know intricately are struggling? There's nothing wrong with struggling couples. We've all been there. And I think that's what a relationship is. It's challenging sometimes. But you can't just assume that everyone else is happy because their selfies look that way.
Well, you also got to assume, like, these bigger social media pages are businesses now. If you have
Brands.
2, 3, 4, 5 million followers, you can make a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't see commercials that have outtakes. You
I know.
always see the polished product. And that's what
Always.
social media has become for the most part.
And movies, too.
I think that's one of the reasons I appreciate what we have so very much, because of course we try to take the best clips and the best camera angles. Yeah. But it's still the real stuff. It's still the stuff that we think that you guys will hear and it'll resonate with you and you'll say, "Oh shit, that's the way I feel."
Our intention is to pull back the curtain on what's real. That's what I like most about what we do.
Yeah, it always is.
Yeah, it always is. And
All
that's what we're doing.
Next one.
Next one. What else do I got? So is this what are they seeing?
I think let's jump to what are they hearing?
What are they hearing? I like this one. So I've got a couple small talk.
Yeah.
This is a big one. You and I, Kevin, probably used to indulge in a lot of small talk. The other thing that we didn't write down that I'm thinking of right in this moment is gossip.
Yeah.
Talking about other people and criticizing other people. I always say this, always analyze, try to understand human beings, but don't criticize, especially because who are you to judge people who, you've made mistakes before too. And you and I went back to that first episode, right? And to me, that was like, okay, I am who I am now. There's a huge contrast between who I was and how dare I judge other people, because I wasn't a bad person back then. I just didn't know what I know now.
Right.
And how do you know other people aren't in that place? Maybe they just aren't aware. And by the way, there's things we're not aware of now, and in a year from now, we'll go back and go, oh, Jesus, right?
I think that's when we were at Brendan Burchard's event, one of the, how he had to come up with the list of 3 things that we want to be. One of mine was understanding, non-judgmental. Like that's something you have to practice, because especially if there's a giant contrast, it's easy for you to be like, why are you doing it like that?
Yeah.
Maybe you're doing it like that because you don't know there's another way. Maybe you're doing it like that because you always have. That doesn't mean you have to do it like that forever.
Yeah.
I used to do things because that's just what I do.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
This is what my life is. It's.
I think you just touched on a huge point. Figure out why someone. I think it's. There's a lot of nobility in trying to understand why someone does what they do in an effort to maybe help them.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's any nobility in judging it. In other words, like as soon as you figure out why they do that and then you go, oh, that's like, and then you kind of criticize it in your own mind, you're kind of being a dick a little bit.
We were talking about that. So the latest rap I wrote on my Instagram was from somebody else. Like I put myself in somebody else's shoes. Without judging. I try to assume, what does that feel like? What does that actually feel like in order for you to have to do these things that you're doing?
Right.
I try to peel back the curtain on what they were feeling so I could write about it and then help people that feel that way.
And you did.
I appreciate it.
There's gotten a lot of...
It's gotten some love.
It's gotten some love. Because I think a lot of people resonate with that.
Yeah. I think that's... Dude, I resonated with it. What else we got?
So we wrote down a few good... Money is evil.
Money is
That's
evil.
something people hearing growing up. We all
Next
heard that growing up.
vacation.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, oh, my next vacation. Look, I have nothing against vacations. If you want to go on vacation, go on vacation.
Yeah.
But it scares the shit out of me that you work 51 weeks out of the year so you can take 1 week off.
Yeah.
And then that's like, after that, it's like, oh, back to reality. What if your reality was a vacation all the time?
Yeah. It's... I tagged you in something recently that said real success is when your life is so good that you don't want to take a vacation
Yeah.
from it. So let's bring this down to earth here for a second. Past, present, and future. What are they hearing? Small talk a lot of times is about like the weather or, kind of what the Kardashians are doing or whatever it is, right? What I noticed, and this is not with judgment, but what I noticed is that people who tend to be living life on their own terms and people who are hyper-conscious tend to be very focused on talking about the future. They're excited about the future, and not just the next vacation they're going to, but like the things they're doing, how they're going to grow, what they're going to learn, what they're going to create, how they're going to contribute. So if you're around a lot of people where you're talking a lot about the past, like the good old days, for example, then the chances are you're wasting. If you're going to think about the past, I would think of it to reminisce on good memories and to learn from it, but not necessarily to like. This is a good segue into what are they thinking? Because under what are they thinking, one of them is, oh, it used to be so great. Like I used to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
High school was the best days of my life.
yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, so tell me why. Why were they the best days of your life? Okay, if you tell me why, I guarantee we can make it the same
Or better.
but better now.
Yeah.
Because you're more evolved, you have more resources, you have more capabilities, you have more opportunities.
How often did you hear that growing up? These are the best years of your life. That's not true at all.
I used to hear it all the time.
But to me,
It
that's
depends on what you value.
yeah.
Like people used to say, "Oh, college are the best years of my life." If you value getting hammered and hooking up with random people, then maybe it was.
Yeah.
I didn't go to college, so I don't know. But I'll tell you right now that this last year has been the best year of my life.
Yeah.
Without question.
College was great, but it's not the best years of my life. It's only gotten better, and I think that's because we've gotten better.
So what do we say? What are they thinking?
Yeah.
So I know this. This is very near and dear to my heart. I know what you're thinking. I do. I was thinking it a year ago. I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm too this. I'm too that. You're thinking that it could never be me. It just couldn't be me. I couldn't do that. I couldn't have a successful podcast. I couldn't make 6 figures before the age of 27. I couldn't do it. I'm not smart enough. How would I do it? I don't have a college degree. When you don't feel like you're good enough, you will always take the things that stay in alignment with that. Everything you think of will be, I'm not good enough because of this.
Yeah.
Okay, I used to say I'm not good enough because I'm short. What if me being short led to me being funny? What if me being short led to, you know what I mean? It's like,
It probably did.
it probably did.
Yeah.
And I truly believe now more than ever that what you focus on matters more than anything.
Yeah.
If your house got knocked over by a hurricane and you survived, I know it's super hard to say, oh, I'm lucky that my family or I wasn't hurt. I know it's not the easiest thing to do, but what if your neighbor got killed?
Yeah.
That's some perspective for you. And what you focus on, you truly will, you'll feel.
And then that'll dictate what you do or don't do.
Yeah, this is all mental. This is
It is.
all mental. And you are building a cage around your life that doesn't have to be there.
And these are loops, by the way. These are habit
for
loops,
sure.
thought patterns.
For sure.
So picture your neurons are like, the more you have a certain thought, the more myelin wraps around those neurons, and it's like a highway to that thought. Whereas you have a dirt road to like a better thought, like a more empowering one. So it's hard to change your thoughts when you've been thinking a certain way for 10 years.
Yeah.
You're not gonna. It's really hard to change it overnight, but it can shift. Usually by something new coming into your environment, or you just getting fed up with the way you're living.
Yeah.
Right now.
Well, imagine if I try to make you not believe in yourself.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yep.
it's like, could I do that over time? Sure.
Yeah, it would take a long time.
It would, well, especially for you. You believe in yourself so much, but it goes both ways. If you don't believe in yourself, hang around people who believe in themselves.
Yeah.
Because you eventually, that's what helped me more than anything.
So this is
We're running out of time.
this is so good.
We're at 22 minutes.
I had all the feels right now. For everyone out there right now, these limiting beliefs and the thing that I'm about to read when the timer goes out is,
I didn't even set the timer.
is huge for this.
Freestyle.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
How much longer do we have?
Well, we're over, so
We're over on 20 minutes?
it's 22.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it goes fast, man.
It goes so fast.
But we still got to do we do What Are They Feeling? Kind
no,
of. We kind of did.
kind of.
we
But I
can
think we should go through it.
hammer it.
Real quick, I just wanted to say this to the listeners. One of my biggest why powers, one of my biggest reasons for doing what I do is I want to be living, breathing proof that these limiting beliefs aren't real. And the story that I'm going to read after is going to be a huge testament to that. But if you want more reasons to be better, realize that the limiting beliefs that are holding you back right now are holding back your loved ones too. And they're holding back other people. And if you can overcome them, you will literally be living, breathing proof that it's possible. Nate Smithson, when I met him, he was living, breathing, walking proof that you can be that in shape and that smart. I, for some reason, grew up with the thought that I could be smart or athletic. I couldn't be both. He was proof that I could do it. And because I met him, I am now who I am today. That is what you can be for other people.
Fuck yeah. Shout out to Big Nate.
Big Nate.
All right.
Called him earlier.
Yes. What are you feeling?
Helpless.
Yes.
Hopeless.
Yes.
Afraid. Inadequate. Lacking.
So this, something that you said, and I didn't agree with at first, was lazy. And I look at it now and say, especially if you're not confident, you're going to feel lazy because you're not going to be motivated to go do stuff that scares you, to prove to yourself.
You don't think you can do it.
You
Why
don't
would
think you can
try?
do it. Why would you try?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not the lazy, like, oh, I'm just going to, I don't want to do anything, but maybe it's more the lazy of I don't believe that I can do anything, so I'm not going to try.
So
I'm not
why
going to
would
start.
Why would I put in the reps if I don't think they'll work?
What are they feeling? Oh, you're alone.
Yep. Oh,
and
yeah.
like you have to put on a show. I never wanted people to know that I was hurting. I never wanted people to know that I wasn't happy where I was. I never want to know that, like people to know that.
What was the limiting belief behind that? Let's go
About
there.
what?
I think so many people are there right now. I know I've been there.
Because
I didn't want people to know I had a drinking problem. I didn't want people to know that I was hurting and that not having a father hurts me and all that stuff. So what was the mental block?
I think one of it was judgment. I was always afraid that people would judge me and value me less because of it.
Yeah.
Like that's what you are. Like you don't like your life. Oh, okay. Like why? And that's the reason now I'm so confident. I will tell anybody anything about my life. It doesn't bother me,
So
not
you
even
said
a
you
little
were
bit.
Depressed.
Oh yeah.
Why didn't you tell anyone? Because when you're depressed, talking to someone about it is is one of the most important.
I didn't think anybody would understand. I didn't think anybody would understand like what I felt.
That's such a limiting belief.
For sure.
How do we get rid of that?
For sure. You realize that you and I have felt the same things.
Yeah.
You felt similar things to what I felt, and you're completely opposite.
Yeah, that's true.
You're the total opposite of me.
I've absolutely been there, yeah.
We all have. The thing is, most people they're not willing to talk about it. That's the only thing, man. If the first person who ever went to sleep, if he never told anybody that, last night I laid down, closed my eyes, and I woke up in the morning, the next person that did it would be freaking out. They'd be like, oh, what is this? It's familiar to us because we talk about it. And everybody goes through it. If you've never spoken to somebody who's gone through depression, you're not alone. I can guarantee you're not.
No way.
Your favorite rapper, your favorite musician, your
Rock.
favorite fighter,
The Rock.
Somebody in that space has dealt with it.
For sure.
Maybe they haven't spoken about it, but that's why we're doing what we're doing.
You recently said that you went to someone who you thought would judge you and you were going through something. Talk about why power and incentive to not be a judgy towards others. Like why would someone tell you what's real and come and ask for help if they think you're going to judge them?
Yeah.
I have a lot of people that I can think of right now who have very strong limiting beliefs around what it is to be a man, right? Like men don't cry.
Oh, yeah.
Men don't air out their feelings. I think that is a recipe for depression.
I'm going to tell you guys right now, I went to the movies with one of my good friends, one of the most beautiful women I've ever laid eyes on, and I bawled my eyes out. And honestly, I don't care. Yeah. I don't care. I go by what I feel.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hide the way I feel. It's just not, I did it for so fucking long.
Yeah.
I just want to say this real quick. I was laying in bed, this was a couple weeks ago, and I think I tried to do a post about this, but I don't know if it came out the way I wanted it to, but throughout your lifetime, you're going to lay in different beds. You're going to live in different states, different towns. You're going to be sleeping next to different people. You're going to be going to different jobs. The thoughts in your head will never change if you don't change them. They just won't. They won't. You'll be laying in your bed thinking,
wow,
oh, why didn't I go up to that girl? I can tell you why, because you didn't believe in yourself. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
The thoughts aren't going to leave. that's going to be your habit loop. You're always going to think that if you don't prove to yourself otherwise.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like having that realization of, I told you, when I was living up in New Hampshire, my ex just broke up with me. She should have, because I wasn't in a good spot. She did exactly what she should have done. I do not blame her. You know that. Mm-hmm. I told you this, man. I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to be like this forever.
Oh, yeah.
I lived by myself an hour and 10 minutes away from anybody I knew.
Yeah,
I
and
spent more time with myself than anybody else, and I didn't like it. I didn't like who I was. And I'm thinking, how the fuck can I want to become somebody special. I want to become somebody worth talking to, somebody of value. I want to believe in myself. Like, I want to feel like I'm enough for once. That was it for me. That was my rock bottom.
Do you feel like that's what drew you to people like me?
Probably. I know I want to be what I needed. That's me. That's my purpose in life is when you reach out, I can say, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Let's figure this out. That's it.
I want to be what I needed.
That's exactly why I'm doing this.
I love it.
Okay, read your dramatic thing.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. It's good. It's good. Okay, so to bring some context to this is a story that I heard from one of my heroes, Wayne Dyer. He's one of my favorite authors, and I don't know who wrote it, but he read it on stage once, and it very deeply touched me, and I'm going to try to get through this. So here we go. The Teddy story. There was a story from many years ago of a primary school teacher. Her name was Mrs. Thompson, and as she stood in front of her 5th grade class on the very first day of school, she told the children a lie. Like most teachers, she looked at her students and said that she loved them all the same. But that was impossible, because there in the front row, slumped in his seat, was a little boy named Teddy Stoddard. Mrs. Thompson had watched Teddy the year before and noticed that he didn't play well with the other children, that his clothes were messy, and that he constantly needed a bath. And Teddy could be unpleasant. It got to the point where Mrs. Thompson would actually take delight in marking his papers with a broad red pen, making bold X's and then putting a big F at the top of his papers. At the school where Mrs. Thompson taught, she was required to review each child's past records, and she put Teddy's off until last. However, when she reviewed his file, she was in for a surprise. Teddy's 1st grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is a bright child with a ready laugh. He does his work neatly and has good manners. He is a joy to be around." His 2nd grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is an excellent student, well liked by his classmates, but he is troubled because his mother has a terminal illness and life at home must be a struggle." His 3rd grade teacher wrote, "His mother's death has been hard on him. He tries to do his best, but his father doesn't show much interest, and his home life will soon affect him if some steps aren't taken." Teddy's 4th grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is withdrawn and doesn't show much interest in school. He doesn't have many friends and sometimes sleeps in class." By now, Mrs. Thompson realized the problem, and she was ashamed of herself. She felt even worse when her students brought her Christmas presents, wrapped in beautiful paper and tied with pretty ribbons, except for Teddy's, his present, which was clumsily wrapped in the heavy brown paper that he got from a grocery bag. Mrs. Thompson took pains to open it in the middle of the other presents. Some of the children started to laugh when she found a rhinestone bracelet with some of the stones missing, and a bottle that was 1/4 full of perfume. But she stifled the children's laughter when she exclaimed how pretty the bracelet was, putting it on and dabbing some of the perfume on her wrist. Teddy Stoddard stayed after school that day just long enough to say, "Mrs. Thompson, today you smelled just like my mom used to." After the children left, she cried for at least an hour. On that very day, she quit teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic. Instead, she began to teach children. Mrs. Thompson paid particular attention to Teddy. As she worked with him, his mind seemed to come alive. The more she encouraged him, the faster he responded. By the end of the year, Teddy had become one of the smartest children in the class. And despite her lie that she would love all the children the same, Teddy became one of her teacher's pets. A year later, she found a note under the door from Teddy telling her that she was still the best teacher he ever had in his whole life. 6 years went by before she got another note from Teddy. He then wrote that he had finished high school, 3rd in his class, and she was still the best teacher he'd ever had in his whole life. 4 years after that, she got another letter saying that while things had been tough at times, he'd stayed in school, had stuck with it, and would soon graduate from college with the highest of honors. He assured Mrs. Thompson that she was still the best and favorite teacher he'd ever had in his whole life. Then 4 more years passed, and yet another letter came. This time he explained that after he got his bachelor's degree, he decided to go a little further. The letter explained that she was still the best and favorite teacher he ever had, but now his name was a little longer. The letter was signed Theodore F. Stoddard, M.D. The story doesn't end there. You see, there was yet another letter that spring. Teddy said he'd met this girl and was going to be married. He explained that his father had died a couple of years ago, and he was wondering if Mrs. Thompson might agree to sit in the place at the wedding that was usually reserved for the mother of the groom. Of course, Mrs. Thompson did. And guess what? She wore that bracelet. The one with several rhinestones missing. And she made sure she was wearing the perfume that Teddy remembered his mother wearing on their last Christmas together. They hugged each other, and Dr. Stoddard whispered in Mrs. Thompson's ear, "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson, for believing in me. Thank you so much for making me feel important and showing me that I could make a difference." Mrs. Thompson, with tears in her eyes, whispered back. She said, "Teddy, you have it all wrong. You were the one who taught me that I could make a difference. I didn't know how to teach until I met you."
My goodness. Proud of you.
Thanks, man.
Proud of you. For those listening, I don't ever hear these before Alan reads them. So that, in a weird way, I feel like I got a lot of joy from that because I know you needed to do that. You know what I mean?
That story touches my very soul. And we all, at some point, have been Teddy. You know, and we all have the opportunity to be Mrs. Thompson for the people we care about. And so I feel like that story is the closest to my purpose. I've had people believe in me when times were unbelievably dark. And so we all need to be that for people there.
You were that for me. You were that for me, man. I was in New Hampshire, man. You know what I mean? Living in the woods. I think that's beautiful. I'm very grateful that you shared that. I hope the listeners took all of the emotion, all of the feelings, and the lesson. You guys can be that for somebody else, but I want you guys to be that for yourself more than anything. I want you to be able to look in the mirror and be happy with yourself because then you can spread that joy and that happiness all over the place. Neither of us would be able to do this if we didn't go through the shit we went through.
I know.
If we didn't face the demons we faced. If we weren't willing to be vulnerable and read that and cry on air. Like, we have a very special thing, you and I, and I'm super happy and super grateful that we get to share it with all of our listeners. You guys are doing amazing things. What else you got? That it?
Mrs. Thompson was being judgmental before she knew the truth. You don't know what someone's going through, and they just need you to believe in them. So,
and that can make the world a difference.
Yep.
Ladies and gents, happy Halloween. Alan and I are going to have some smiles after this to make up for the sadness. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed recording it, and we will talk to you guys later.
Talk to you soon.
Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed our latest Scratching the Surface episode, and up next, we will be traveling and podcasting with Joanna De Pena.
Yes, Joanna has been doing incredible things. She's working with Microsoft. She did a lot of traveling with Jenny Alvarez, who was another guest we had on the episode. They are close friends, and she is changing the lives of so many different kids. She's gotten a bunch of different speeches under her belt. We can't wait to pick her brain on what we talked about in the last podcast versus where she is now and how thoughts become things.
Thoughts become things, and we hope you will enjoy it.
Talk to you soon.
Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for listening to another episode of the Hyper Conscious Podcast.
Going hyper-conscious will absolutely change your life because if you understand why something is the way it is, now you have the power to change it. If you going hyper-conscious with us has changed your life in any way, please share this episode with one of your friends because the more people that go hyper-conscious, the better this world's going to be for everybody.
And if you would kindly leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, that would help us make more people hyper-conscious, and we would be greatly appreciative.
Thank you.
Bye.